We'll talk a little bit later about the retreat, but just as a reminder, the price is all inclusive. So it includes transportation to and from the airport, it includes your housing and your food. So it's really a very all encompassing package. And the reason why I do retreats this way is every time I've done a retreat, people have told me that they valued most the time where everybody was together. And so we have this big common area in between the rooms where people kind of gather at night, and a lot of the conversations and the deep support actually comes outside of the presentations. Now, if for some reason you really can't come live, and I hope that you can work on coming live because that's the most powerful, we do have a professional videographer coming in. He'll be doing live stream. So you can watch it live, you can ask questions, and we'll ask the speakers live, as well as you'll get a playback from that. So really hoping that we can get as many people there, because we have some phenomenal speakers again this year, including our first person that's presenting today, which we'll bring up in just 2 minutes. Yes, Paula Vandervoort, who I'm just about to bring up onto stage. Very excited to have her here today. And Paula has been one of our long-standing presenters, and not only at these summits. So when we did the big summits, she did them. Now we're doing mini summits, and she'll be at the retreat this year. So I'm so excited to bring up Paula to the stage. Welcome, Paula. So Paula, if you guys don't know, she runs the dog breeder store. She's also a naturopath.
The way I got on this path was I've been breeding for over 50 years, and I started noticing that lifespan in my breed of boxers was going down significantly, and chronic health problems were going up. And although I raise show dogs in conformation and performance, if they're dropping dead at 4, what's the point, right? And I was starting to see these top 20 dogs that I would see one year at the nationals, and then next year, they'd be 3 or 4 years old, and they wouldn't be there the next year because they were gone. And they died. And so there's good research out there showing that this is actually true in every single breed. The lifespans are going down. Even shelter dogs, they're going down. Cancer rates are huge. And so I had a dog that had a very severe reaction to her 3rd rabies vaccine. And I was doing everything the way I was taught to do. I was trained in allopathic medicine. I was doing all the shots on time. I was feeding the best kibble, and using all the worming medications and antibiotics and everything that I thought I was supposed to do. And this dog woke me up. She had a very severe reaction. She was already a champion in AKC, and she was a trained, credentialed service dog. She wasn't one of those fake service dogs. She was a real one, and she could travel on airplanes and public transit and stuff. And overnight, she became like Cujo. She was dangerous. She was attacking dogs. She was attacking children. It was such an overnight thing that, and I was too caught up in the allopathic system to even realize what was going on. I just thought I had a training problem or something. And so I had just run her thyroid for breeding purposes, and it was perfect. And I thought, well, maybe there's a thyroid issue because her endocrine system, an endocrine system issue can cause aberrant behavior. So I ran her thyroid again, maybe 2 weeks from the last one, and all her markers were just off the charts. She was in severe autoimmune thyroiditis. And so all this aberrant behavior, it took a while to figure out what was going on. I didn't even know there was such a thing as vaccinosis. And so that got me on this path. That got me here on this stage. That got me interested in talking with other breeders and pet parents about this. And so I got a lot of education in it. And I network in this natural space a lot. So I have the privilege of being able to talk with a lot of veterinarians and naturopaths and other people that are also doing this. And I read a lot. So I've always got books going. And so that's my story. And I was laughing at your comment about your hair when you were doing that, because I woke up and my hair was kind of disheveled. And so I blew it out. That's a joke. I just blew this morning for you guys. So anyway, that's how I got going on all this. And I'm thrilled to be able to talk with you guys for a few minutes just about one of the aspects of what I went through. And that was, how do you deal with it after it happens?
Yeah.
If you've already vaccinated a dog and you've injected them, and I have a client that just bought a puppy from me who his puppy went home this weekend, and he was talked into a 1 year flea and tick injection.
Yeah. I
And
remember. Yeah.
his dog started bleeding from the face and died a horrible autoimmune death. It took about 3 or 4 months. He died in front of their children, cost him an enormous amount of money. And it's just another one of those vaccines. It's not the one we're talking about today, but it's an
Yeah.
injection that is full of toxins, and it can cause a lot of problems.
The interesting thing about that one is if you read the labeling from the manufacturer, it even said that it's kind of meant to be a last resort.
Mm.
And yet I think vets want to, it is easy. Like, hey, we can vaccinate you for a whole year. But when you think about it logically and you think about one vaccine lasting an entire year for, flea and tick prevention and those kinds of things, you have to start to wonder, like, there's got to be an extra amount in the blood in the beginning, and then it's got to, like, it can't stay the same amount the whole time. It has half-lives and stuff. And so when you even think about it logically, it doesn't add up. And so it's in my contract that if people use that year-long vaccine, that it actually voids my health guarantee, because
Hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of negative effects being seen out there by it.
Yeah, and it's been banned in some other countries. So
Yeah.
we seem to be the last ones to ban all the things that are really toxic.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we're not on the holistic path as much as other countries, unfortunately. Jessie mentioned that she had a puppy get strangles after his second shot at 8 weeks. And I hear that a fair amount of getting strangles is one of the most common side effects that I'm hearing. Do you speak a little bit to if, like you said, someone did vaccinate and then they're seeing impacts that they're not comfortable with, well, obviously that they don't want, that they're having a bad reaction. What is the first step for detoxing?
Well, if you don't mind, I want to back up just a second and talk about this vaccinating at 8 weeks, because one of the things that I've been teaching a lot is how to time these vaccines. If you are going to vaccinate, which I don't do anymore, I provoke natural immunity. I get the same effect as vaccines, but without all the adverse side effects. But if you're going to vaccinate, get the timing right on it. And a lot of breeders don't know that they can actually pull blood on their bitch, preferably early in the pregnancy, and run something called a nomograph on them. And I know you talk about these in your summits, but it's run at the University of Wisconsin. It costs you $60. And what it does is it measures the antibody levels for distemper and parvo in your girl. And that blood needs to be drawn outside of the time when she's starting to make colostrum. So figure, if she's pregnant, maybe you pull the blood when you're doing progesterone tests. That's what I do. And I send that off and have it measured. If you pull it when they're maybe 2 weeks before birth or 2 weeks after birth, then those titers go down because they're pushing all those antibodies out into colostrum. So anyway, you can run those, and then you get a chart that tells you basically exactly when to vaccinate. It's a little bit of a range of time, and I just ran them on Layla when I just sent a litter home this last weekend, and she was vaccinated recently. She had the all-in-one vaccine, and the interesting thing was she didn't have any distemper titers at all.
Wow.
So we don't really have distemper where I live. I mean, it's just not a big issue, but she had really good protective parvo titers, and all the puppies that just went home still have them. So had I been vaccinating, I would have gone up against those maternal antibodies. First of all, the vaccine doesn't work. And secondly, it confuses the immune system. So you got to get the timing right if you are going to vaccinate. And I used to go on a schedule of 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks, 18 weeks. It was a lot. And after every year thereafter. And I realized that when I started running nomographs that I was going way too early. So that's first, is get your timing right.
So you recommend doing that blood pull when you're testing progesterone to breed?
Yeah. And when you, if you're pulling blood for brucellosis, you can do it when they're pregnant. Just don't wait. If you hit 2 weeks before the due date and you remember, oh gosh, I forgot to do that, then wait about a month. Wait till the puppies are a couple weeks old, and then pull blood.
Okay.
And send it to them. So, and it takes about 10 days to get the results back.
Yeah, and what people don't know is that depending on mom's natural immunity, if you give a vaccination too early, it has no effect.
Right. It doesn't work.
Yeah, because the mom's antibodies are already there, and so it doesn't help anything. And so that's the thought between for doing that test, and so that you know exactly at what week mom's antibodies aren't going to be influencing or impacting the vaccine.
Right, right. So it's really a battle that happens. The mom's antibodies are floating around in the puppy's body, and then they get vaccinated and they can't even make their own antibodies at that point. It's not possible.
Yeah.
And it causes the immune system to get very disheveled and confused. And that can last a lifetime. So you got to be careful about that. But we're, mostly here today to talk about detoxing. And your first question is excellent. But I just want to, I'm always about preventing problems and not treating them afterwards, because I wish I could say there's a magic bullet for detoxing from vaccines, but there's not.
Yeah.
There's not like an all-in-one, hey, you do this one thing and it's going to work. You have to go at it in layers. And there's a couple of different medical systems that are typically used. The one you'd want to use on a puppy like that is homeopathy. So homeopathy is a medical system that you let me teach about a lot in here.
Yeah.
And it's my medical system of choice. I do also use essential oils, and I know you guys do too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't tend to use those while they're pregnant or lactating, just because they're biologically active. And I love homeopathy because it's so safe.
Yeah.
And I can use it when they're pregnant. I can use it all throughout whelping to help them with pain and to help move labor along and things like that. And I can use it on neonates. It's great for diarrhea, by the way. But if you've got a reaction to a vaccine, I'm assuming you're talking about a distemper parvo vaccine. If you're talking about, I can't see the comments, or otherwise I get feedback.
I would assume it was a distemper parvo vaccine. And I guess maybe we should clarify a little bit too. If you're looking at moving a little bit away from vaccines and you're not quite sure if you're ready to go completely into homeopathy, you might consider doing your first vaccine a 2-way. So just a distemper parvo instead of a 4 or a 5-way before the puppies go home. That's something that was suggested by Dr. Jean Dodds, and it might be a bridge between the two options. So anyway, yeah, go ahead, Paula.
Okay, so, and I'm not saying that homeopathy is a replacement for vaccines. It's mostly a treatment. It can be preventive. It's a very big medical system. There's literally thousands of remedies out there, just like pharmaceuticals. But there is a remedy called Thuja. It's Thuja, and Thuja is a plant, but this is a remedy that is made from that plant, and then it's diluted down to where there's none of the plant left in it anymore. And in its raw form, it causes a lot of the symptoms of vaccinosis. And so in its homeopathic form, it's curative. So Thuja, there was a book written in 1838, I think it was called Vaccinosis and Its Cure by Thuja, and I've read it. It's a little bit hard reading because it's Old English, but that's when it was discovered. So medical professionals have known about vaccinosis for a long time, and that is the primary remedy that gets used. So it would be very helpful to have that on hand, and it comes in either pellet or liquid form. And just have it in your kit. And if you're going to give a vaccine, give it at the same time. Don't wait for symptoms. Just go ahead and give it, because it can be preventive. It also can help if the symptoms have already happened. And with my boxer, I didn't discover this remedy until 2 or 3 years after all of this started with her. And I gave her that remedy, and it was miraculous. I mean, the things that turned around with her were just, I can't even describe how wonderful it was to see her come back to me and be her normal self again. The things that were long-term, like she had destroyed her thyroid. In that amount of time, she had autoimmune antibodies, and she had killed her thyroid off. So we couldn't fix that with homeopathy. We had to support her with natural things and feed her thyroid and things like that. But it's very good at causing a great effect if it's used right away. And also, if you don't even know about it for a few years and you've got a dog that's struggling with vaccinosis symptoms, you can go ahead and try it and see, no harm, no foul.
Yeah. So I know everybody's going to be like, okay, how do I find this? And how do I know dosing and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Come to the dog breeder store. That's our specialty. And we just announced a something we called a Detox kit. We have a veterinary advisor that works with me because I'm not a vet, and I want to make sure that all the things that I'm writing and condensing for people and products I'm pulling together are veterinary approved. So Dr. Todd Cooney is our veterinary advisor. He's wonderful. He's a senior teacher at the Pitcairn Institute of Veterinary Homeopathy, and he's a practicing vet. And he has a ton of great research on parvo that he's allowed me to put into my store for free for people to read. And if you just type parvo in the search bar at the dog breeder store, it'll come up and it's free. But we just launched a vaccine detox kit for home use to make it really simple. We do have Thuya in the store. And, if you're kind of like, I'm not really sure how to use this, or, how do I dose it? The dosing instructions come with it. So we don't put anything out of our store without good instructions, and there are color booklets that come with everything. So, but I'm really excited. This vaccine detox kit has been long in coming. It's been well researched, and it has what is needed if a dog has had the typical vaccines, especially rabies, and it helps to get the excipients and the adjuvants out of the body as much as is possible with herbals. So I don't know how to share my screen, but it's called a Detox starter kit in the dog breeder store. If I can share my screen, I have it up to show you.
Yeah. So I don't see your screen on here to put up on stage. We did put up the dogbreederstore.com for you.
Okay. Can you see that?
Mm-mm.
Probably not. Okay. If you just put up the dogbreederstore.com and type in V-TOX, Detox, it'll come up.
Okay.
And we literally just launched it. We just got all the printed booklets, and I'm really excited because it puts into the hands of people something inexpensive that they can work through themselves on any animal. It works for cats too. So,
Yeah.
so part of what happens with vaccines and adverse reactions is very short term. Veterinarians are taught to look for things like swelling at the injection site, and they're taught to look for lethargy and being off their food and so forth. But the long-term issues that have now been really well researched are the ones we're trying to deal with.
Yeah.
And because it's not a big deal if your dog is itching for a little bit, but if they're itching the rest of their lives, that's a big problem. And you don't want to be the breeder that's getting that phone call like, hey, my dog's chewing her feet off. What do I do? So now you'll have a tool at hand to help you with your clients if that happens to them. But our veterinary advisor is, as I mentioned, Todd Cooney, and he went to Purdue University, and they did a big research project with, I think there was 6,000 dogs in it. And they had a population that was unvaccinated, which I'm sure was hard to find. And then they had a big population that was vaccinated. And it's a really interesting study to read in detail, but the summation of it is that the vaccinated dogs, 100% of them had autoimmune disorders. So that's huge, 100%. And 0% of the unvaccinated population had autoimmune disorders. And autoimmune comes in all shapes and sizes. It comes everywhere from just itching all the time to autoimmune thyroiditis, like my dog had, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, where the body attacks its own red blood cells. Some of these are deadly, and some of them matter a great deal to breeders because the body can attack its own ligament system and fibrin. And Purdue and some of the other research projects discovered that there's a lot of neonatal loss associated with vaccinations. So when I started reading that, all my spidey senses were going off, and I was thinking about babies I've lost, and the ones that are on ultrasound and they're not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking back about my vaccine history and wondering if those could have been issues. So that's why I stopped vaccinating altogether. But that's a pretty severe statistic, and autoimmune disorders are very difficult to turn around.
Yeah, it is. I think one thing too people can realize is that some organizations, some states, some law groups, because I know sometimes we get stuck in we're required to you know. And what I'm doing right now is I'm working on titer testing my dogs and seeing if they'll take titer testing. It does mean you do have to have a round of vaccines usually, for them, for some organizations to take it, but
Yeah.
they're getting better at being open to the science behind titer testing. And so that you can titer test your dogs instead of vaccinating. And then you can show, well, the titers are still high. And it does require some education, but it's a step away from doing so many vaccines. I think one of the things that really still blows me away is that a vaccine dose is the same no matter how big the dog is. And that's kind of, we're like, well, they just use what they need and then they don't use what they don't need. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's a little bit crazy. How do you kind of talk with, how do you recommend people talk with vets that don't really understand this kind of science? And when you listen to a lot of the podcasts of vets, or I know you just sent me one, and both people on there were like, it took me about 10 years of being a vet, or 20 years or 30 years to realize there's a problem here. So how do you kind of recommend people talk with vets or find the right vets?
Well, first of all, be gentle, because veterinarians are there because they love animals, and you don't want to set up an adversarial relationship or come across as an anti-vaxxer, because that just shuts people down. But my vet that I use here in Houston is actually an integrative vet. She calls herself holistic, but she does still offer allopathic stuff. She does vaccines and so forth, and that's cool. But I was asking her the other day, I said, were you taught about this in vet school? And she said, no, I wasn't. And she's been a vet for 20 years, I guess, and maybe longer. She looks really young. But she said, so she pulled up, there's a space where veterinarians all talk to each other. And she pulled it up in front of me and she said, when she first learned about vaccinosis, there was one thread on it. And it was started by somebody who said, has anybody ever heard of this? And she said, now there's tons of them. Vets are talking about this a lot. It's a real thing. It can be used as a diagnosis. And so just help them to realize that there is education out there for them. The Pitcairn Institute of Veterinary Homeopathy definitely teaches about this. They can get credentials through there. I'm sure there's other places. There's organizations, there's holistic vet organizations and homeopathic vet organizations that will teach them, professional to professional. But I think the best thing to do is to just be gentle and say, depending on your situation, if your dog's already been vaccinated, just say, I realize that this probably lasts for life. And the studies show that that is quite possible. So I'd like to forego redoing these until I know what levels my dog has. And you can send blood in. I send mine into Texas A&M Veterinary Diagnostics Lab. It's $38. So if you're being charged, $200 or $300 for those, you can get them done yourself there. But then if you had the tough conversation is you're not going to vaccinate at all, which is where I am at this point. I wasn't. I went through an arc of learning, and so did Dr. Todd Cooney. And in his practice, when he finally got to the point where he wasn't vaccinating at all and was just using no-sods, they had a 0% death rate on parvo.
Yeah, I
and
heard
it had
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see all of his research. I highly recommend you download it from the dog breeder store and read it. And he's in the process of writing an ebook to make it a little easier to understand. But I would just say to the vet, I understand that I can provoke these antibodies without the vaccine, and I'd like to try. And Paula has an ebook she just put out called Creating Immunity Without Vaccines, and it's $15. And it's got the protocol in it. It's science-based, it's resourced, it's referenced, and you can buy it and give it to your vet.
So interesting. So Joanne asks, my 3.5-year-old female has been itching since her second rabies. Is it worth trying Thuja?
Yes. So rabies is a little different animal. I mentioned before that Thuja is used for the typical puppy shots when we were talking about distemper and parvo. Rabies is a killed vaccine and it's a neurotoxin. So the symptoms tend to be different with vaccinosis, and you get a lot more aberrant behavior with rabies vaccinosis. So the homeopaths tend to use something called a rabies tautode, Tautode. That's included in our Detox starter kit, and it's made from the vaccine itself, and it is highly effective. So if your dog's had both kind of vaccinations, just get the kit. It's right around $100, and it's got the stuff to mitigate vaccinosis for the puppy shots and also for the rabies shot. But if you're going to do that by itself, I would recommend buying something called a rabies toad. And these are made by pharmacies, by the way.
Wow. Okay. So someone says, what about the rabies shot? I guess they're just asking more about how it's different maybe, or why that one's a different animal, as you put it.
Yeah, it really is. The puppy shots are meant to prevent biologic diseases that affect the body, like parvo, distemper, leptospirosis, things like that. The rabies, and they're modified live vaccines. And the rabies shot is a killed vaccine because it's not legal to have live rabies virus floating around in syringes. So rabies as a disease, it goes very quickly to the brain. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. And so the vaccine is meant to prevent that. And so there's a lot of neurological activity in both of those, the disease and also in the vaccine itself. So the treatment for rabies vaccinosis, or the prevention of rabies vaccinosis, is with a different remedy. And it's one that's made from the vaccine itself. There's actually toads for the COVID vaccine. You can find them out there if you have COVID vaccinosis. So my big fear, though, I'll tell you guys, before I know I have to go, is the mRNA vaccine. We've now gotten 2 vaccines licensed for use in dogs that are mRNA technology, a rabies by Merck, and also a flu vaccine. And there's one in cats. That's a panleukemia, I think it's called. And we don't have any good studies on those. The safety studies are abysmal. So I would avoid those at all costs for right now.
Yikes. Well, that's very good advice. If you guys want to hear more from Paula, you really need to come to the breeder.
Come see me.
Yeah, come live. She's there live. Like I said, the conversations that happen at meals and between presentations are so powerful. And she'll be presenting more. Unfortunately, we would love to have her here speaking for an hour and a half, but that's why we have her at the retreat. So come to the retreat and hear more from her. And Paula, thank you so much for joining us again.
My pleasure. Thank you for always offering alternatives.
It has been a great experience. I love just getting together with all the different breeders and being able to talk to them and bounce ideas off. And the presenters have been fantastic. Just very direct things of how we can improve our breeding program and become better in business. My biggest takeaway is like just having very direct goals of what I want in my business and how I can achieve those goals. And just, I feel like every presenter gave me different things of how I can work better at achieving my goals and becoming a better breeder and a better business owner. Oh, I would say absolutely make it a priority. It has been such a great experience just from the moment you get here until you leave. It's fantastic just talking to all the different people here, and everybody's so nice. And Heather Gibson just does a fantastic job of putting it all together in such a way that even the tiniest details are taken care of.
I loved it. I have learned and I've grown and I've found different ideas from breeders, and it's just been, I love the communication that they all have, and they're open and willing to share. I haven't had that experience with breeders before, so I think that's been great. I would tell them definitely come and just open your mind to new ideas and ways of thinking outside of the box of breeding, like homeopathics and breeding. And I loved it. I've loved everything about it. So
one of the biggest things I've learned is just how amazing of a community it is in the breeding world. I'm brand new to this whole thing, and so to come and meet a lot of people and to learn gain a lot of great insights is awesome. I'm learning that there's a lot of people I can lean on whenever I have any questions. I would tell them to come for sure. It's a game changer, and it kind of helps build your confidence, and I think opens your mind to a lot of different possibilities. It's worth every penny. We've been able to play some games. We did a ropes course, which was amazing. Lots of yummy food, and obviously a lot of great learning.
I've loved being at this annual breeder retreat. I feel that when you're all together as breeders with the same mindset and the same goals, it really gives you a strength of community, and you get to know people on a more intimate setting when you're all together like this. We also have such a beautiful canvas that we were able to come to. As a speaker, you always hope you're going to change somebody's life. You're going to improve it in some way. And so it was really fun to watch as you gave some of the things that you've studied and shared some of the things that have helped you in your program, to see a light bulb come on, or somebody jotting down really quickly something that a thought that came to them that may have been inspired by you. That's really inspiring to me. The opportunity to be in person at this event, I feel like gives you such an advantage, because it's not only what you're seeing on screen that that you can learn from, but it's those side talks of, I'm having this issue, and what did you do about that? And just being able to collaborate with so many breeders has been an incredible experience. And even virtual, though, I feel like there's so much to learn, so much to gain from other breeders, and learn to improve your program and improve the profitability of your program.
The topics have been outstanding, but also being able to spend time with other breeders and collaborate and talk and hear stories that we all really are very much the same, and we go through very much the same things. And the reality is we can help each other. I think my biggest takeaway has been the ability to collaborate with other breeders. The information that we are learning is wonderful, and it absolutely 100% can be applied to my breeding program, any breeding program. But the collaboration and the time spent has really been the biggest takeaway. You won't regret it. Don't hold off. Don't wait. Don't say, should I, is this something that I should do or not? It is absolutely worth coming.
Well, it has been amazing. We have learned so much. I highly recommend for everybody to come. To be honest, I cannot say one thing, because you have learned so many things from all the speakers, but my favorite time has been the breeder talks. Whenever we all get together as breeders after all the conference, and we sit down and chat. And so we do a recap of everything, and we keep on learning even more. Don't even think about it. Just come, book your flight, register, do everything that you can, but don't miss it. You will have such an amazing experience, and you're going to learn so much.
It's been really wonderful. The breeders here are super nice, and the instructors are super informational and helpful, and it's been a lot of fun. Just come. It's so much fun. You're going to learn so many things. You're going to learn how to elevate your business in every way, and improving your business is always going to make you more money.
If you're wondering why your breeding company maybe isn't quite like hitting your effort, like it's not reflecting on the work you're putting in, I think you're missing out on what it is holding you back. Is it marketing? Is it email? Is it genetics? Is it coat type? Is it like, there's got to be something if your puppies aren't moving. So like, I don't think it's you. I just think you lack the knowledge to like get there. And that, I think you can only learn that with all the breeders being around. Just, this is what happened to me, and this is my experience, and this is the things we studied. And it blew my mind. I think it was great.
Awesome. So had a nice little break there. All right, today is the last day.
It has been a great experience.
For the breeder retreat. And I just want to highlight a little bit. Sometimes when we look at the price tag of something, it can be a little bit overwhelming, and we don't really look at the value of taking the time or the effort to invest in something. So for example, for VIP Day, we will be going over progesterone testing, how to do AI, semen shipping, and ultrasounds. We'll have conversations like that too in the general group, but you can see how those skills could very easily add up to be $1,000 in savings in your program. When it comes to marketing with puppies or kittens, if you can sell your puppies or kittens for $500 more, which really isn't a jump, if you can get the right things in place so it works better for you, then that's, with 10 puppies or kittens, you're looking at a $500,000 profit increase. And then when you look at saved health costs, so these conversations, the learning that you have, if you could save on 5 vet visits, or you had 5 extra puppies or kittens, you didn't lose 5 puppies or kittens, whether it's through absorption or during delivery, that is a huge savings there that can save you a lot. So a little bit about the retreat in general, the VIP packages. Again, once you get there, it's all inclusive. So we will pick you up and take you back to the airport if you're flying in. We get you all your transportation. It does include double occupancy. For the VIPs, it starts on Wednesday night. For the basic package, it starts on Thursday night, but you can buy in if you want to come in a night early and start on Wednesday night, because we do start Thursday morning pretty early. But it's all your meals that while you're there. It includes access to so many different things, including hiking trails. The location we have is amazing. But it's an experience, guys. It's an experience that you don't want to miss, and that can save you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in the long run. So it's an investment. But one of the things I've always heard is that, success leaves clues. So this is a quote by Tony Robbins. Long ago, I realized that success leaves clues and that people who produce outstanding results do specific things to create those results. I believe that if I precisely duplicate the actions of others, I could reproduce the same quality of results that they had. So if you're wondering, why are other breeders being more successful than I am? How are they figuring these things out? Why am I struggling with this? Come to the retreat, talk with other breeders that have figured out the things that you're struggling with. And maybe it's burnout and fatigue. Maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's, how do I handle all these emails? How do I deal with all these people that are reaching out? All of those kinds of things are topics that we will cover and help you with. I always like to say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So get in the right rooms. I love to bring in and really curate an amazing group of people. We're trying to bring in new people all the time. This year, we're flying in Meg Howe from Australia. She runs a pretty high-end breeder training program where she's seen quite a few results with people that follow the procedure. And she'll be training on that along with, we'll have Paula, who you've already heard from today, who's incredible. A lot of you have heard from Ara Huey before. She runs Marketing Unleashed. She just did a training yesterday on how to use Pinterest in your breeding programs. And she does private consults on the side during meals and in the evening, and is helping people really figure out and dial in what they need done. We've got a couple cat-specific people coming in. So if you're wondering if we'll have people there for you, we've got, we've got Dr. Adriana Cajon. I almost couldn't say it with the doctor at the beginning because Adriana is such a lovely person. Like, if you've met her at cat shows, she's very personable. But she'll be coming in. She's flying in. She'll be there in person talking about virology and other things in our breeding programs. We also have Vicki Shields coming in. She'll be talking specifically about socializing kittens. And these will be during breakout times where, for example, Amy Jensen from Baxter & Bell will be training in one room while we have cat-specific training with Vicki Shields in another. And so we've also got Megan Walls coming in. Melanie Daybell will be on hand to help with, answering questions too. We're bringing in the best and the brightest. And next year we'll be doing the same. Every year it just gets a little bit, we switch it up. I won't say better. We just bring in different people. And so you'll definitely want to come if you can. If you can't come live, get a virtual ticket. It's totally worth it. Yeah, you do fly into Salt Lake. And then, yes, someone from our organization will pick you up and take you where you need to go. The retreat location space, we do have a double occupancy, but a little bit of information about it. It is a gorgeous facility. And you do share, I don't know, I'm thinking in Spanish. Melanie Daybell has me speaking Spanish a lot lately because we're working on our Spanish habitación. So your room, you walk in, if you're sharing a room, there'll be a little living space. There's 2 separate bedrooms and a shared bathroom. So even if you're in double occupancy, you will have your bedroom will be in a room where you can close the door and have your own space. You're just sharing the bathroom. And the food is really very good for, being at a retreat. I felt like last year they were incredible. And so lots of great things. If you guys have questions, let us know. We do have a extra promotion for you guys if you're here at this mini summit that we offered last time too, but it gives you a little bit of a discount. And so register today though. You don't want to miss the early bird pricing. It goes up by $150 tomorrow. And you can find out more about it at bhbcommunity.com. So we'll have more information too, but just to check it out, bhbcommunity.com/retreat. You can look at the speakers, you can look at our schedule, you can look at where it's at, and it is going to be an amazing experience. You don't want to miss it.